In this video, we will set up the FortiGate to filter based on the user's device or endpoint that is used. This is great for allowing BYOD for users who want to use their mobile phones and tablets on your production or your corporate network. So we added a new network to our FortiGate. So let's go to our interface page and interfaces. Okay, and there we created a new sub-interface called BYOD that will be used exclusively for users bringing in mobile phones and tablets onto our network. And that network will be the 172.168.102.0, which is reflected in our network diagram, if you remember. So you can check that out. But this network will be a wireless network where we will have a standalone access point plugged in and broadcast for our user to connect from their own personal devices. So what we would do in our environment is this. Our BYOD policy will allow only staff users to connect their Android or Apple mobile devices onto the network. Other devices they could use will not be approved at this time. We do have the option of adding additional type of devices in the future, but this will be our policy for users who do want to bring in their own devices. To enforce filtering based on the device, we need to enable device management to detect and identify devices that are found on our BYOD network. And to do that, let's edit that interface that we are going to use. And here we will select, or we will enable detect and identify devices, which is here under device management. And let's say okay to save our changes. Next, let's go to user and device, then to device, and then to device definitions. And here we already see our FortiGate detecting and identifying devices that we currently have plugged into our BYOD network. And one of them was an iPad device, but this discovery is not enforcing anything at this point, only discovering or listening on what is connected. Now we want to create a device group that will list the devices that we want to allow and how they'll be able to access the network. So to do that, let's go to device groups right below here. We will create a new group. We will enter a name for this group. Again, used for our staff members. For the members, we will include what type of devices we want to add in this group. And we're going to select all of the Android and Apple mobile devices, the phones, the tablets for Android, and the same for Apple devices. Okay, and once again, we can add other devices to this group in the future when needed. Once we are done, let's say okay to add this group. Now let's go to our policies page. Here we will create a new policy that will filter based on the device that our BYOD users are using on the network. And the supported devices will only be Android and Apple mobile devices. And you must be a staff user. So with those requirements, let's set up a new policy that will define what we want to look at. So within this policy, we want to allow users on our BYOD network communicating out to the internet. For the source address, we will allow only the BYOD network. So let's go ahead and create a new object. Let's enter a name. Okay, the type will be subnet, and let's define the subnet and the mask. And the interface, which is right here. Okay, next for the device type, this will be based on our device group that we added earlier, which is once again dedicated for our staff users. And now for the source user, we will select the staff group. For the destination address, that will be for any address on the internet. For only the internet ports that include HTTP, HTTPS, DNS, and ping. And of course, make sure that NAT is enabled. That's important. Next, under security profile, let's enable application control and specify our staff profile. And let's also select our custom profile for Ssl Inspection. And we are finished. Let's go ahead and add this new policy. Now, so in this policy that we have just added, any user that is using an Android or Apple mobile device on our BYOD network will be allowed to access the internet if they are able to authenticate as a staff user. So keep in mind that you can include other user groups or not include a user group at all. It's your choice. But this is a BYOD endpoint that will likely be a personal device with content that may not be approved by our company. So it's important to apply all of the necessary security to ensure that your internal computers and servers are not compromised from personal devices. At this time, I connected my personal iPad to this BYOD network and I logged in as a staff user. The same process of going through the web authenticated portal, logging in, and those details. So we can confirm those details by going back to device definitions under user and device. Let's go here. Okay, and there for the second entry, it will show my device named Michael iPad, which is indeed an iPad running iOS version 7.1. I logged in through the web authenticated portal using the Active Directory account of Staff1, which is a member of the staff group. And of course, you will see the IP assigned to my iPad, which exists in the BYOD network. And of course, you will see similar results for other devices that you want to approve. Before we conclude, when Ssl Inspection is enabled on your BYOD network for your users will receive certificate warnings for any secure site that they access. We didn't install any certificate on our iPad, and there really is no option to effectively do that. Therefore, if you are enabling filtering based on a user's device, and you want to also enable web filter or application control, then you need to do the following. And that will be to go to Ssl Inspection. All right, and in this profile that is selected here by default, this is called Certificate Inspection, which has a different type of inspection method. And this is what we should use for any policy that requires Ssl Inspection. Therefore, let's go back and edit that policy that we created earlier. Here it is. Let's say edit. And here we will change the Ssl Inspection profile to be Certificate Inspection. And then let's go ahead and save. And that is it. We are now finished, but that is how you can enable filtering based on the user's device or endpoint, which is recommended, strongly recommended for BYOD environments.